This is our day 2 video for Unit 2, and today we're going to look at graphing from a table of values. Yesterday we talked about a coordinate plane and just plotting points in general. Now we're going to plot a sequence of points all together on a table of values. So what a table of values is a way of organizing points together. We can use this to create a graph. So usually a table of values is going to come from a certain function or equation that's given to you. You might have to plug things in to find pieces of a table of values to fill in different values. The reason we like using this in math is because you can always use a table to graph any equation or function. So regardless of what kind of equation or function it is, you can always use a table of values to graph it. So just like with plotting points, the first coordinate we're plotting points was the x-coordinate. Same idea with the table of values. The first column represents the x values of point. Alright, so x value or x coordinate, we use those interchangeably. Same idea, second column represents the y value. So for graphing from a table of values, if we read across just like this would be the same as an ordered pair. So right down here, we're going to write all the different ordered pairs that come from this table. So my x-coordinate, -3 for the first point, and right next to that would be the y-coordinate 2 that goes with that. Same thing, my next point that comes from the table would be -1, 0, 1, -2, and then 2, -4. And then if I want to graph those, we did this yesterday. So graphing -3, 2, where I think about what we did yesterday, first coordinate -3. So I'm moving left 3, and then up 2 because of +2. Alright, same idea, -1, 0, I'm moving left 1, not moving up at all. 1, -2, I'm moving to the right 1 and down 2. And then 2, -4, I'm going to move to the right 2 and down 4. That's the general idea behind a table of values, is how we organize it. That's what each column represents one coordinate, and two right together are just like an ordered pair. Most of the time, when you're working with a table of values, you're not going to have a completed table to work with. In a lot of cases, what you're going to have is the x values, and you're going to be asked to use an equation or a function to fill in the y value. So how you do that is you have to substitute the x value into the function or equation to find the corresponding y value. That means the y coordinate that goes with that x coordinate. So if you do this for each point, keep repeating this over and over again, what you're going to have is you're going to be able to fill out your table. In some cases, in the harder cases, you don't have either the x or the y coordinates. So what you have to do there is you have to create your own x values first. Alright, so you just like we've been talking about, just try and pick easy numbers. Try and pick the easiest numbers possible. Alright, so a good way to start is use numbers like -2, -1, 0, 1, and 2. That's easy numbers to work with in an equation, and it'll help you fill out your table quickly. You get 5 points right there. So this first example on the left, we're going to make a table of values for the function y = x². So what we're going to have to do is take each of these x coordinates and plug it into this function. Alright, so I'm going to start with -2. Alright, so if I take -2 multiplied by itself, I'll get a +4. I'm doing the same thing with -1. Give me a +1. Same thing with 0. Same thing with 1. And same thing with 2. Alright, now I have my table of values. I'll be able to graph the function using that table. For example, on the right, example 2, this one's a little trickier. We don't have any x or y values. So what we want to do is we want to try and use easy numbers to fill this in. So the easiest way to start, if you can, try and use these 5 numbers right here. -2, -1, 0, 1, 2. Once you have those, it's going to be the same as filling in the table on the left, which you're going to take each of these x values, plug it into the equation. So 3 times -2 would be -6. 3 times -1 would be -3. 3 times 0 would be 0. 3 times 1 is 3. And last one would be 3 times 2 is 6. So this is the basic idea behind table of values. So there's 3 different cases where you have a table given to you already, where you have to fill in one column of the table, where you might have to fill in both columns of the table using a function or equation. So on the back here we have a bunch of different examples. So just get some practice. Instead of just plotting points now, you want to take a table, convert it into points, and graph those. So get some practice with this. And tomorrow we're going to be moving on to where we're actually graphing directly from an equation without doing the table in the middle.